It's official. We're in the meat grinder of the NBA season. Welcome to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast, a sports ethos presentation hosted by yours truly, Aaron Bruski, and FSWA Hall of Famer Steve, Dr. A. Alexander. And welcome to our viewers on Twitter and on YouTube. And if you're on Twitter, head on over to YouTube. But better yet, all y'all, head on over to our Discord, where if you drop your questions in there, if you're a premium member, you get preferential treatment. If you're in there on the free side, you'll probably get a little bit extra preferential treatment. But we're trying to get as many folks into Discord because it's a lot cleaner for everything that we're trying to accomplish over here at Sports Ethos. And as far as our show schedule, a little bit of shifting going on. We're going to have 8 shows starting next week. So that's one additional show. We're going to have morning shows on Monday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays and Saturdays. And Andre can yell at me if I got this wrong. And then I believe we're having night shows on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. One of those is not happening. I don't know which one it is, but there's going to be a lot more Sports Ethos after dark. Monday, Wednesday, Friday for morning shows, and a weekend show, and then the night shows. Y'all can correct
Monday
me.
through Thursday.
Monday through Thursday at Sports Ethos After Dark with Rick Kamla and the great Dr. A. The first show, I mean, you guys just hit the ground running. If that's the pilot episode, I'm locked in. I'm going to try to show up as much as I can for this show and just drop in and annoy the guys. But that show is, I thought the minute I was watching it the other night, I was like, this is the best show on it all at night, like talking hoops. I mean, you named the show that's better. I don't know which one it is.
The best late night show in history.
Above and beyond inside the NBA. Now that actually inside the NBA's got you guys. I'll just give you, I'll let you know that. And they're pretty good over there. But that's the new schedule. And we're really super excited about bringing you guys more content and also just more stuff that we'll talk about as we get through the coming days and weeks. Let's quickly pay some bills. Basketball fans, it's that time of year again. The NBA is back. From opening tip-off to buzzer beaters, this season, every game matters. BetOnline has you covered with the best odds, biggest promos, live in-game betting on all of your favorite teams, along with every stat, matchup breakdown, and live odds to bet on during the game. And it's not just the NBA. BetOnline has odds on everything from football to MLB playoffs to NHL and political props. Head to the website today to get into the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. I had to mix that thing up a little bit and rework it. And I'm waking up on the show because I was watching Keon Ellis film at 1 a.m. Maybe I have problems. I don't know. But Doc, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm here. I survived another weekend.
Hell yeah. And lots and lots of stuff going on in the NBA. You've been getting a lot of praise for your Cam Thomas love. And I got a quick question for you, since we were talking about it pregame. Would you trade Cam Thomas for Giannis Antetokounmpo?
That's
gears turning.
That's a trick question. It's a trick question. Giannis is shooting 55% from the free throw line. He's getting like 0.3 steals and 0.4 blocks. So he's ranked at the very bottom of lists for fantasy basketball players. Like if you go look for Giannis in player rankings right now, on real numbers, he's at the bottom. Meanwhile, Cam Thomas is like first round value. And every time I had a chance to draft Giannis this year, I did not do it. I took Anthony Davis. I took somebody else. So I don't want to trade Cam Thomas for Giannis. But I guess my answer is yes. By all means, you should trade Cam Thomas for Giannis. Personally, I don't want Giannis on my team, and I'm not doing it.
Sounds like you hate the idea of doing it, but you're going to do it. Sounds like you're doing what you think is best for your fantasy.
I'm telling the people they should do it. I'm not saying that I'm going to do it myself.
I'm curious, would you do it? If somebody offered you Giannis today for Cam Thomas in one of your leagues, you're going to say no to that?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love it.
very intriguing. I'll tell you that.
We'll get to the Milwaukee game in a quick second here.
Nobody's going to offer me Giannis for Cam Thomas.
They might now. I'm going to find the person that has Giannis in your league and prod them. I think is the right move here. We will get to the Milwaukee-Boston game. In fact, we're going to cover all of last night's action. We're going to figure out kind of who the adds and the drops and kind of reset the playing field for you guys. And then we'll cover tonight's action. We'll get to your guys' questions. Again, get to Discord. If you have questions, you want to get them answered on the air. Of course, our premium users will get the preferential treatment, but you guys can get your questions in and get them answered at some point in time. We got a lot of pros in there answering questions as well. Okay, so we'll start with the late game, actually, last night, and Portland against the Kings. I watched this one a lot. I got a lot invested in Keon Ellis. I had him really highly ranked, as you guys already know. Said when they kind of did the lineup stuff, I was like, hey, guys, it's going to be 20 games. Like, maybe 10, but really 20. And then Mike Brown came out before the game and he was talking and he says something along the lines of like, what do you mean Keon Ellis? Like, who is Keon Ellis? Like, I've never heard of this guy. Like, he's just a bit player around here. And, I'm paraphrasing and also joking. But like, I think I think Mike Brown kind of noticed something in the room at that point in time. Like, wait, you're calling Keon Ellis what? Like situational? And then he went out and he played Keon Ellis right away. Then Kevin Huerter had a good game. This came against the Portland Trailblazers, who were on the Sega Baba, second game of the back-to-back, had already gotten their win against New Orleans, so they were kind of fed over there. They came in and played one of the worst halves of basketball along with the Kings. It was the worst basketball I've watched. And I wasn't even mad about it. It was just impressive how long it was. A 2-hour half. And then they escaped this game. All of them they did, with the Kings winning. My takeaway in that game is that Kevin Huerter might have some value on the short-term side. Keon Ellis had a 1-1. His film was amazing. If you're a basketball person, if you watch his film, there's nothing to complain about. He'll be fine, I think, in the long run. I'm holding and buying. That's my personal opinion. Steve, if I asked you, I'm guessing you're probably not on board with it, but I would defer to you if you have any Keon Ellis thoughts. I can be resident Keon Ellis guy. I could ride the bandwagon by myself. But are you intrigued at all? Are you swayed by any of this Keon Ellis talk? Or are you just like, nah? Not for me.
I mean, I'll listen. I'm intrigued. I'm always intrigued. But honestly, every time I hear the name Keon Ellis, all I really think is, man, I hope he does something this year so the Brew doesn't have to deal with that all year.
Oh yeah. No, you and me both. I'm again optimistic about him and buying where I can, because it's again 1-1 in like 14 minutes last night. It's just the stat set and then his overall effectiveness. It's just too succulent. Anyway, on the Portland side, I think other than your Scoot Alute, who had 18 points, 4 boards, 5 assists, 5 of 12 shooting, 7 of 8 from the foul line, this is a good game for him. He's been a little bit up and down as far as the efficiencies go. Nothing new there. As far as a Scoot check-in for you, are you feeling reasonably okay about Scoot in the late rounds as far as just your overall attachment to him?
Yeah, I'm good with Scoot, man. I think Scoot was at his best late last season. Portland's 1-3, so we're right on schedule there. As far as the tank goes. And I think, like we said early on, they can play Scoot Henderson till the cows come home, and they're still not going to win games. So I'm not really worried about the shutdown. I'm good with where we are.
And if you're wondering why Anthony Simons only had 12 points, he literally gave the ball up every time he saw Keon Ellis. So for Keon Ellis's 14 minutes, Anthony Simons wasn't on the floor. Jeremy Grant, 7 points, 8 boards, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 3. So he keeps it going. I think you got a kind of constant sell high there. DeAndre Ayton, 20 and 11. One of the actually probably most interesting things about Portland has been Donovan Clingan. Now, he played 12 minutes in this one, and he only went for 2 points, 6 boards, and 1 block. But in his like 12 minutes a game or whatever he's been getting, he's been flirting with like double-ish numbers, big rebound totals, getting blocks. I mean, he's a kind of a beast out there. Super long arms. He would have had another block if he hadn't fouled. Forget who. It was kind of a close deal, but it was amazing to see him cover ground and get back and get the blocks. He's going to be a very good per minute guy this season. I don't know if it'll be enough to stay over the cut line, but at least it's interesting to watch. Somebody putting up numbers in 12 minutes is always interesting to watch. On the Kings side, starting to level out a bit. Sabonis is now back into the assists category. He's a little bit out of the 3-point category. He went 1 for 2 from 3, so people are still pretty stoked locally about his 3-point shooting. 5 of 6 from the foul line, so it was decent there. DeRozan's still getting a lot of the rock, 23 points there. De'Aaron Fox just doing his thing, and really effortlessly, by the way, 24 and 6 with 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 threes, 4 of 4 from the foul line. That being the key. Want to say Fox is either perfect from the foul line this season or near perfect. If somebody can grab that, that would be an interesting thing, because that was one of my rationales for having Fox inside the top 10 of the B150 is I thought there was a free throw improvement coming, and then I think there's even potential for more. I just couldn't get too crazy. And for a higher volume
he's
guy,
missed one.
He's missed one. Okay.
So he's
Good Foxy.
13 out of 14, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, and this is obviously small sample size theater, but if he can do that, that's how I had the rationale to have him in the top 10. So we'll see how that goes. Keegan, a little slow night, and that's fine. I think he's going to mix slow ones with big ones. He looked great out on the floor, 6 and 8 with nothing else really. 2 and 9 shooting. Great defensive effort. Got to play his twin brother, so that's always fun. I think Malik Monk was good enough in his 19 minutes with 12 and 4 and a 111. So you know what? You tip your hat to these guys for all doing well, and you move into the next game, which was Indiana and Orlando.
I don't know that we can just blow by Malik Monk only getting 19 minutes.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
There is a serious, if you want to check my feed or even just like the local Kings guys feeds, the minutes thing is really weird right now because there's no basketball argument to be made for having Kevin Huerter out there. And there's this misdirection going on with the conversation in Sacramento, as there typically is, where they're trying to say, well, look, Kevin Huerter's actually kind of good. And he is. He's come out and he's basically Kevin Huerter from either kind of 2 years ago, which he was really good those 2 years ago. Last year, he was not good because of injuries, and he's somewhere in between that. But he's good enough, right? But they don't need another 3-point shooting offensive guy on the floor. They get into these track meets where they never really win that, at the level they want to win with that. And then Keon Ellis is the guy that doesn't need the ball in his hands. They need defense in the worst way. He's dominating defensively on the floor, and he's producing offensively when he's out there. So they're just trying to make Kevin Huerter a thing, and it's at the expense of Monk tonight. It's like Keon Ellis's minutes came at the expense of Monk, while Mike Brown is still playing his starters heavy 33 to 36 minutes a game when he doesn't really need to, because he can just give the trio of Kevin Huerter, Ellis, and Monk. He can just give them more minutes. And he's not doing it because he's playing Sabonis 36 and DeRozan 34. And I think he's trying to get some continuity out of that group. So that's another thing that's going on there. They should not be playing 36 minutes on this team.
It's interesting. It's interesting that Huerter had 2 points in 20 minutes in the first game. And I was like, yep, that's the new Kevin Huerter. He's washed. Then he was decent in the second game. And then game 3, 18 points on 7 to 12, back-to-back 4 triple games, 3 blocks. That kind of gets me excited. Should I be picking Kevin Huerter up? But I feel like as soon as we do that, he's going to have a 2-point game, and Malik Monk's going to play 30 minutes. I don't know. I don't trust Kevin Huerter still.
I think offensively he's going to be fine, but this was the Portland Trailblazers. They were really bad. He got a lot of easy looks that in tougher games, those looks aren't going to be there. He had a ultra green light and, got 12 shots up, and the 12 actually felt like it was almost maybe even a little bit too much, but he was making them, he was taking them, and they want him out there making them and taking them. So he's probably going to be kind of peak Kevin Huerter that we've seen in the past, in the kind of valued at the top 100, 125 range. And that's the ceiling for him. So any sort of slippage, if he loses ground to Keon Ellis, if he gets a little bit slower because, he's at his freshest right now, so to speak. If that happens, then he's going to start dipping beneath the cut line. But the minutes thing is it's topic number one in Sacramento, and they got the win. If they had lost last night, that thing would have exploded. There would have been, probably faster changes on all of the different fronts, because you go 0-3 and you lose to a Portland Trailblazers squad. That creates a lot of pressure. They got their win. The monkey's off their back. Now we'll just kind of see how it all plays out. But Monk, if his minutes go down, his shots go up. So I'm not as worried about Monk, but I'm sure Monk is worried about Monk. And I'm sure there's a couple other people in that team that were worried about Monk's minutes as well. So he'll be fine. I think Monk's going to be an easy top 100 guy this year. He's just going to kind of cruise his way there. Moving into the Indy. No. Honestly, people want to know.
Let's go talk about Paolo Banchero.
Oh, you okay? All right, let's do that. Paolo Banchero went nuts last night. This is what Rick especially. I would say, what's the order of ranking in terms of who was higher on Paolo? Was it Rick?
Oh,
me then you?
Rick. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, Rick, me, then you. And Paolo was making you look great for the longest time. Now he made Rick look really good last night. 50, 13, and 9. A steal, 2 blocks, 16 to 26 shooting, 3 triples. The foul stuff is still just brutal. 15 to 22. 40 minutes. What a game. Indy is kind of a little bit light in the trunk, with some of their defenders. So I don't know if that was the factor. I don't care really. I think Paolo's just kind of in a world of his own. If he's going to get hot, I don't think there's too many people in the league that can stop him. Do you think this is a sign of things to come? If you had to reevaluate, would you say that Rick's onto something with Paolo, or is this just this is like a flash game? It's just going to happen once every 10 games or so.
I mean, I don't know if he's going to score 50 again this year, but that's a hell of a stat line, a hell of a game. He scored 16 and 15 points in the previous 2 games. One was against Brooklyn. They're not playing a lot of defense either. But man, the free throw shooting is brutal. It's right there with Giannis. Everything else looks pretty good. 1 steal or 1 block, 0.8 steals on the year. And I don't know, but he was sure fun to watch in that game.
Franz Wagner was he actually left the game due to the illness that he had. Yeah. So 11 minutes there. Don't be fooled by that box score. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he had 1 good game and everything else has been really bad. So not great for him. Yeah. 31 points, practically nothing in the stats. Jalen Suggs, 25, 5, and 7 with a big fat stat line, 6 threes, a steal and a block. So far, so great for Jalen Suggs. Without looking, I got to imagine he's in the top 20 right now of fantasy rank. And that's probably it. I might ask you, like, Jalen Suggs, are you at any point, are you feeling like a sell high here, or are you going to ride that out if you got Jalen Suggs?
I don't have him anywhere, but I know that we were all high enough on him last year that if he's going to come out and play like this year, which, I mean, he's fully capable of doing this. And if, KCP is going to kind of chill and be more like, old Kevin Huerter out there, then Suggs should go off. Like, I don't know, man. I think that Suggs is for real.
Yeah, I think he's for real. I don't think this real, but he's for real in the sense that he'll probably outperform his ADP. He'll probably take more from KCP than KCP takes from him. That will eventually balance out. There's probably some integration stuff there going on, but yeah, exciting stuff. I think we've all been rooting for Suggs. The injury stuff early on in his career was a bummer, and we just like the style of play. I think speaking for the we is always difficult. On the other side of the bracket, Indiana 1-3 start, and it was interesting because I thought when they played Detroit and they got their win, there was something about the way they snapped into that game to get that win. I thought, Indy's going to be dangerous this year. But with Tyrese Halliburton's struggles come 3 straight losses after the fact. And in the segment that is yet to be developed called Unanswered Texts from Doc sent me a text the other night. You should just start sending nasty ones and making me read them on screen. Like,
there are people who are really good at texting. Like you text them and then they text you right back. And then you text them and then the conversation's over. And then you need them, a week later you text them again and they text you right back. But then there's people who suck at texting. And you send them a text and they never answer. And then you, for some reason, think that maybe you send them another text, they might answer that one. But Brew is one of those people where it's just not coming back. It's just the way it is.
It's my weak spot, man. I can't keep it up with all of the notifications in life, and like texts for whatever reason are just the graveyard for me. So don't text me, folks. Send me something else. Carrier pigeons, probably a better shot. Halliburton though, I think you were kind of alluding to that maybe something's not right with him. And I'm curious, as somebody that watched a lot of Indiana basketball and kind of Tyrese Halliburton, and I've done the same, where are you at with him? He had a 19, 9, and 10 stat line last night with 4 threes and a steal. Nobody's crying about that. I don't even think people are really crying.
Oh, they're crying.
They're crying. I mean, I've got a lot of Halliburton. I'm crying. It hurt me. Andre says you can always email Andre, Doc, just in case that helps.
When I have important questions I need answers to, I go straight to Andre.
Truth. It's funny, and it's funny and true. Tyrese, are you thinking injury, or what are you thinking with Tyrese? I have it as lack of confidence. What do you got the Tyrese?
When you said, are you thinking injury? I thought you were asking me, when you text me and you don't hear anything back from me, are you thinking that maybe I'm injured or in the hospital or even perhaps dead? And I'm like, yeah, that all crosses my mind. I don't know what's going on with Tyrese, man. He didn't look right the second half of last year. He looked literally horrible on the first 3 games of this season. They beat Detroit. They lost to New York. They lost to Philly. And then they lost in Orlando, but at least the stat line was doable. I think we can all work with 19 points, 9 boards, 10 assists. It was the 22 points and 2 assists and the 0 points and 5 assist games that really ticked people off.
They're going to leave a mark on his rank, too. I mean, you can't have those kinds of games at the top of the ranks and not have it leave a mark. But this has been the book on Halliburton for a while. He goes through these things, these funks where he has no confidence in little moments during the game, but it also manifests in entire games. It's hard to explain in a 2-hour show or whatever we're going to do here today, 1.5, 1 hour. What are we going to do? But it's really just he'll get through this is the only thing, unless there's an injury involved, and it doesn't seem like that's the case. I think this is garden variety lack of confidence for Halliburton. I am noticing Nembhard continues to pile up the assists. He had 7. Now his stat line isn't screaming run and go at Andrew Nembhard. 13 points, 3 boards, 7 assists, 1 steal, no threes, no blocks, 1 of 2 from the foul line, 34 minutes. So, Nembhard is probably going to be back end valuable, late round valuable in a lot of leagues. But beyond that, I'm just kind of wondering how much can Nembhard take from Halliburton? But Halliburton had 10 assists in this game. So that wasn't an issue tonight. It was an issue the other night, not an issue tonight. It's just something to watch going forward. Siakam, 26 and 9, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 threes. Good enough there. Neesmith, 10 points, 4 boards, 1 steal. I feel like there was an injury note there that I'm forgetting. So go to the Sports Ethos stat feed and news feed. Really the best free resource in the business because the analysis is top end and it's as fast and it's just cranking. So get over to the sportsethos.com website and find the blurb feed for that info. Also, folks, if you just joined the show, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, head on over to our Discord, get questions answered over there. You can, if you're a premium member, you get your preferential treatment. We'll answer your questions on air, as many as we can get to. And then if we have time, we'll get to other folks' questions as well. Next game on the docket, in your neck of the woods, Steve, we have Washington and Atlanta, where the Jordan Poole party continues. 26 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, 6 threes. How you feeling about that? You feel like you caught the wrong side of the wave on this? Did you get any Jordan Poole?
I got lots of Jordan Poole.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Shout
I
out
was taking Jordan Poole. He's sitting there around 6 or 7 or 8 all day, man. Give him to me.
Yeah, Rick produced a top 15 list from Yahoo, and it was like, Jordan Poole's on it. He's still on it, I bet, after last night's game. What are you going to do with your Jordan Poole? Are you trying to flip that into other assets? You're just going to ride the pool party out?
You know, Soren, my son, was like, how come nobody trades in any of our fantasy basketball leagues? I was like, that's a great question, because they don't. Nobody ever trades. And, well, sometimes trades happen, but it's not very often. It's like, I think people just draft their guys and they like their guys. Like, I like my guys.
We incentivize trades in fantasy leagues somehow. They're so fun. But you're right. I don't see enough trading in like redraft leagues.
They used to happen a lot more. I think it happened more when fantasy was face to face, and you were working with your colleague every day, and you guys are at lunch, and he's like, man, I really need a wide receiver. And then you're like, well, hey, I need a backup running back. And then deals get put together over, tacos and beers and whatever. There's just not that much interaction anymore, I guess.
You would think in the social media era there would be more interaction, but there's actually less interaction. It's those little algorithm things.
Speaking of interaction, Brew, I have a trivia question for you.
Oh boy, is it ice picking your eye trivia time?
It is. It's a throwback. How many straight text messages have I sent you that have gone unanswered?
Oh, 5?
Higher.
10?
Higher.
What? 15?
Almost. 16. 16 is the
That's the number?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That sound you can't hear on the pod feed is me scratching my head. And I don't know. I need more hours in the day. I need something. And I mean, all kidding aside, I have thoracic outlet syndrome. It makes it hard for me to type, but it's getting a little bit better. I think I wrote about that in the B150. It's actually been 4 months of goodness on that front. Getting stronger. Thank you to the PT folks at Keim here locally, my local MT. You're all amazing. You're putting me back together again. Okay. Here's a question.
Do you like Jordan Poole or Cam Thomas?
I kind of like Jordan Poole. Wow. Here's the thing. Cam Thomas, I would be just enamored to have Cam Thomas on my team, if not the last third of the season. This whole thing, it just comes down to the last third of the season. If Brooklyn finds a bubble in the standings, like they've lost way more games than anybody, or they can't just go up or down in the tank rank, that could be a huge win for Cam Thomas GMs. There's a lot of potential outcomes for Cam Thomas. But if you gave me Jordan Poole, and right now, as I said on yesterday's show with Rick, it's that Poole looks serious. It feels like he kind of got clobbered over the head with last year's stuff. Maybe he's tired of being the butt of jokes. And they decided initially early and very smartly to say, hey, you're going to get the ball. And with that comes responsibility, as Rick was going in on yesterday's show. It's like, you got to run plays. You got to organize the team. If you're in charge, you got to organize the team. And it seems like he's taken that seriously. So I think a top 50 season is coming for Jordan Poole, unless at the end of the year they do some tanky stuff. But it just feels like Washington isn't as committed to the tank as they should be. And Jordan Poole might scoot through over Cam Thomas. Washington Wizards wise, and this is Fantasy NBA Today presented by Bet Online. For those of you who just joined, just going through the box scores, looking through last night's action. We're going to look at today's action, answer some of your questions. Get on over to Discord. The link is in the show notes. Alexander Sarr kind of jumps off the page for me. He's had 2 blocks, I want to say, in at least 2 of their 3 games. And I can't remember what the third game was. But the 2 blocks in lower-ish minutes, he had 27 minutes last night, 7 points, 9 boards, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 1 of 5 from 3. 3 of 11 overall. I think his field goal percentage is going to suck this year because he'll probably take too many threes. But Sarr, how do you feel about Sarr? Do you think this is a time to kind of get on the Sarr train before the hype gets too big? Or is just something completely wrong with that statement in general?
No. I think the shooting is concerning because it was not great in preseason and it hasn't been great in the regular season. Yeah, I'm good with Sarr. I'm good with most of my centers. I don't feel like I'm out there scouring the waiver wire for centers. But if I was, I think Sarr is somebody that should have a good year. I mean, they're playing him more minutes than Jonas Valanciunas, so that's a good sign.
Valanciunas started and had his kind of customary low-end line, 7 points, 9 boards, 4 assists. Bilal Coulibaly, 17 points, 2 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 3-pointer with a 6 of 7 mark from the foul line. 37 minutes for Coulibaly. Is he must roster right now, Steve?
You know, it's interesting that you asked that because that was one of the text messages that you did not answer. And I think the whole text was Coulibaly with an exclamation point because not only did he have the 17-point game last night, the game before that, he was ridiculous with 23 points, 6 boards. I think he led the team in scoring for that one.
Yeah,
what concerns me with
go ahead.
Coulibaly, he doesn't have any blocks, and he's 1 steal a game, which that's not really like him. But I am surprised to see this much offense. So I think last time you were talking about Coulibaly on the show, I was like, not going to happen, dude. It's not happening this year. It may happen next year. Now, I think my doors and my eyes have been opened that maybe this is going to happen this year.
I wonder if he's got a little Rick Vaughn from Major League thing going on where he's focusing on his off-speed stuff and not staying with his fastball. Because the defensive numbers got to be there for Coulibaly. Otherwise, this is going to be a wash. But I do think he's must roster, and I do like what I see. I'd rather him get the offensive thing figured out and then come back and do some of the defensive stuff as well. But you know how that goes. Sometimes they fall in love with offense, and then they stop figuring out what us fantasy GMs want because that's totally at the top of their priority list. Kispert had 21 points and 4 threes. He's more of a deep league guy, but it's just kind of noteworthy that he's as good as he is. In Atlanta, Risacher got another start. And I think people might be tempted to crap on this. 4 points, 1 of 8 shooting, but I'm okay with it. He had a 3. He had 2 steals. He had 2 blocks. It doesn't change my position on Risacher in the sense that he's a late round guy. He might be called upon in a reliable way. He might compile his way to, say, top 150 value this year, top 125 value if he plays a lot of games. I'll get your thoughts, I guess, in general on Atlanta and just sort of point out that Jalen Johnson got back on the right side of things. I don't think this was a buy low moment or anything for Jalen Johnson. I don't think Jalen Johnson GMs were even considering not hanging on to Jalen Johnson after whatever his slow start was, but he got back on the right side of the ledger last night, 29 and 12 with 7 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 3. Capella was the upright guy. Okongwu was the toe DNP rest injury management guy. That caught some eyebrow raises, around fantasy land. But Capella played. He was fine. Trae Young, kind of a muted night. Dyson Daniels, 11 points, 3 steals, 2 threes. So Dyson Daniels, it's not like he had a slow game or anything, but he had 11 points, 3 boards, and 1 assist, and that's it, for his stat line. Free throws, 1 of 2. So it's a little bit slowing down. That might be the most interesting of the bunch here. But when you look at Atlanta, what are you watching for? Do you think this Dyson Daniels stuff, do you think he might have come out of the gate really fast and he might be a tiny bit overvalued?
No.
No.
I think he's going to ball out. He had 3 steals last night, dude. What do you want?
I want more rebounds and assists and points.
I don't care. As long as he keeps getting the steals and keeps getting the minutes, everything else is going to fall into place.
I don't like being on the wrong side of this. I want to root for Dyson Daniels. I like his minutes. Okay. First of all, he's going to play. He's going to play. Like, he is the perfect fit for this Atlanta Hawks squad. I just wonder, like, is he a little over? That's all. Is he a little over? And I'm rooting for him at the same time. I'm rooting to be a little wrong on this. Also, just noticing that Trae Young had a 2 for 15 against the Washington Wizards at home. That probably made a few fans groan. Let's keep it moving here. We got a lot of ground to cover. Let's go to Milwaukee and Boston. Giannis, as sort of alluded to at the top here, 30, 10, and 6, 7 turnovers. Sort of talking openly about the team's lack of identity, which some people in the media took as a shot to old Doc Rivers. My theory has been that if they struggle early on, that everybody starts looking for the exits and we start to hear about Giannis in other places and Lillard in other places. And because this is the year they kind of got to make it work. 1-3 start. Of course, losing to Boston in Boston is not supposed to be the thing that causes everything to crumble. But I mean, if they start going 1-4, I'm really wondering about this squad. But the big thing is Giannis, the lack of steals and blocks. Like, is this a trend, Doc? Is this something for folks to watch out for?
I mean, we've watched him do it for, like, I don't know how many years, 8. We know they're coming. It's concerning, but I'm not concerned, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, is it going to be a hair lower? Is it going to be a couple of increments lower? Is it going to be a decent chunk lower? That knee keeps popping up on the injury report as well, but it did all last season.
He's questionable, probable every night. So
and Boston's going to do this to teams. Boston's going to do this to teams. That's the same thing with the Oklahoma City Thunder. If you look at the opposing box score, it's going to be way different playing these teams. On the Boston side, everybody was good. That's your story. Everybody was good. Let's keep it moving. We got Detroit and Miami. So my Detroit bet is sucking.
Peyton Pritchard hit 10 of 14 shots, 8 3-pointers, and had 28 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, and 2 steals. If you want to go pick up Peyton Pritchard, do it. I put in for him in one league.
Yeah, he's going to do this. He's that good. I mean, it's good to see him really kind of get cut loose. He has been this good forever. Sorry, as I get away from the microphone here, it's just sort of curious. He's definitely tearing it up. I should probably be a little bit more proactive in the Peyton Pritchard discussion department because he's a top 35 guy in 9-cat leagues on the strength of 5 threes per game.
Yeah. All right. What game's next?
He's kind of good. We got up next, as I switch my screens here, Detroit and Miami, and Detroit 0-4, but they played at least. They've been in it, so I guess I'm okay with that. My squad sucks. They're 0-4. They suck. My bet sucks. Just go piss money away. It's early. It's early. Sucks. You know what? It's early. It's 4 games. Actually, I'll take the the development and they just need to figure out how to close games. Miami outscored them 28-19 in the fourth quarter, and they lost by 8 points. So there's again another fourth quarter collapse for a team. It's getting a lot of positive pub for being 0-4. Cade Cunningham's sort of been on fire. 24 points, 8 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 4 threes. It's been like this every night for Cade. Jalen Duren, 3 blocks. These are the things I'm watching for. Tim Hardaway, and one of those texts that you sent me that didn't get answered, 20 points, 7 of 7 from the foul line, 3 threes. I think Tim Hardaway in his role has been more or less good. Tobias.
Jaden Ivey. Yeah. Jaden Ivey and Tobias, both solid minutes too.
Yeah, and Jaden Ivey's been great. They can't close in the fourth quarter, and I would like to maybe spend some time watching the fourth quarter film if I can get an extra shot here too. But this team is kind of easy to read now, and so far so good for Jalen Duren on the block. So I'm happy there. On the Miami side, I don't know what's going on with like Butler and the team. There's like even Dwayne Wade in his statue news cycle.
Man.
Man. I thought he looked like Fraser Crane from Cheers, or the statue did. Somebody, what was the other one? Oh, Michael Chiklis came up the other day, and I had a great laugh. There's Lawrence Fishburne. Even Wade was in on the Fishburne one. He's like, I think it looks like Lawrence Fishburne. But even in the middle of that, right? That's like funny. That's hilarious. And then Rick was breaking down. He knows the statue makers for some places. And he's like, why didn't they use this statue maker versus that statue maker? We're getting like a statue maker breakdown in yesterday's show. I was like shocked. But in the midst of that, he's talking about the change of style and play in Miami and whether Jimmy Butler is going to get on board with it. And it feels like there's a little battle for the soul of the Miami Heat right now. It feels like the Heat want to run up and down the floor and maybe play some base defense. And Jimmy Butler wants to play slow and gamble on every steal. He had 4 steals in this game, 23, 4, and 7, 9 of 11 from the foul line. My 4th round Jimmy Butler bets are paying off, I think, right now. So far, so good. I don't know if there's any other analysis there. Bam, 3 blocks, 3 steals. How are you with Bam? Because I think this is a big Bam game. Bam's been struggling. Nothing turned you there?
I don't like the Heat, dude. We know this. I don't have any Heat players on any of my teams, and I never use them in DFS.
And there you have it, folks. The Heat culture, baby.
I live in a heatless vacuum.
You're just a hater. You must be a big Hawks fan or something.
I have a cold, dead heart.
It could be warmed up with some heat, baby. Terry Rozier, 20 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, 5 threes. You know, the Heat are just going to do this, and then it's going to suck from night to night, and you just hope that the key guys stay upright in the name of Jimmy Butler. I guess I'm rooting for myself. Jovic, a very down night, 14 minutes. I don't know. Maybe that was matchup driven. Maybe it was play driven. Who knows? Jaquez, 12 and 9 with 3 steals, 2 threes. This is kind of a high watermark for Jaquez, so just kind of plan accordingly. Let's keep it moving. Let's get to Cleveland and New York. Rick had a great lock of a call. He knew that Cleveland was going to win. New York was favored by 2.5. This is a mismatch right now. New York just does not know what they're doing. Cleveland's playing at a very high level. Evan Mobley looks great. 17 and 8, 3 blocks. Garland, somebody I wished I'd gotten more of. It felt like I had too many higher ranked players. I think we were ahead on Garland, and I just wish that I'd been even more ahead than we were on Garland. 34 points, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 5 threes, 5 of 5 from the foul line. I mean, just a succulent stat line there. Mitchell doing his thing. Jared Allen was in the top 15. Everything's coming up in Cleveland. What's your read on Cleveland? Are you just generally happy to watch them?
Not really. I mean, they only had 4 guys play well. The 4 guys you mentioned all play well. The rest of that team, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 7 other players, absolute trash.
I love that. I love that ratio of great to trash. It's like consolidate value in 4 players. Cleveland, you got this. In New York,
I do like Mobley a lot, though.
Yeah, he's and you know what? I think the best is yet to come there, and that's really good. You know, I had him as a top 20 guy, and I think that he might even flirt with like late second round, and if everything goes perfectly, like back end first round value just by playing all of his games, and that'll be interesting to see if that can actually hit. In New York, Mikal Bridges, by the way, left for dead. Mikal Bridges is now stringing together 2 good games. Last night's 19, 6, and 3 with 2 steals and 1 block and a 3 at 9 of 15 shooting in 40 minutes. That looks like old Mikal Bridges. Are you excited? Are you, I need to see more?
Unlike you and Rick, I actually like the Knicks still. We saw Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart. Josh Hart had 16 points, 13 boards, 3 steals, 2 threes last night. Those are encouraging signs for both those guys. And this was actually a pretty good game. Cleveland pulled away in the 4th quarter a little bit. But Deuce McBride, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, yeah, I like them all.
Yeah, it feels like at the top they're just trying to figure things out. Jalen Brunson, 8 of 24 for 21 and 7. Nothing else in the 3s, steals, or blocks. So really rough start for him. Karl Towns, 13 and 10 with a steal and a 3 and no blocks. And he kind of got punked by the Cleveland Bigs. They got those two guys. How they go is how New York goes. As Rick put it yesterday, they consolidated. They lost their depth. Now it's on those two guys to figure it out, and especially Towns. He's got to be 8 shots for Towns. That's not going to cut it. Like you have him out there for offense. 8 shots needs to be 18.
Towns was also used to having Rudy Gobert around last year. You know, another big man on the court with him, and he doesn't have that in New York. So I'm sure that's going to take a minute for them to figure out as well, probably.
I'm going to warn you ahead of this next game, Steve. You're going to have to deal with some very annoying Jonathan Mogbo stuff for like the foreseeable future, probably the rest of the year. I just apologize in advance. And is that good for you? Like,
yeah,
I can apologize in advance. Okay, cool.
Yeah, good.
Quick on the last game, shout out Tommy Beer. Campaign 26 field goal attempts this season in 52 minutes. Karl Towns 25 field goal attempts this season in 78 minutes. And he says not ideal. Probably not. Denver, they looked like they were on their way to 0-3 in this game. Toronto's B team was giving it to them. And people were really wondering what's going on in Denver. And then it just started, I would say in the mid-third quarter, because I was watching Mogbo Fever. I was like, I think Denver just thinks that they can just put the foot down and win this game. And that's what happened. They won in overtime, 127-125. Jokic 40 and 10 with a big fat stat line, 18 of 27 from the field. Is there any universe where you would change your order of draft picks between he and Wemby, who also had a big night?
I'm not going to do it after week 1, but I mean, it's possible we were wrong.
I think that these two are going to both have historic fantasy seasons. That I think we're on our way to a peak Jokic season, and I still have Wemby ahead, speaking to what will be the greatness of our future overlord, Victor Wembanyama. Jamal Murray, 17, 9, and 7, 6 of 20 from the field in his return to Canada. I'm selling Jamal Murray. What about you, Doc?
Yeah, I'm not a Jamal Murray guy. I think he gets hurt too much. I think he's not a clutch down the stretch. I don't trust him.
Yeah, and then in the kind of the triumvirate battle, I think this thing's already won, by the way. Christian Brown, 17 points, 4 boards, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 3, 4 of 4 from the foul line. Christian Brown, I made a big bid on him, and I got him in one fab bid over the weekend. I think he's just a lock to play big minutes going forward. Doc, do you see it any other way?
He's still available in some Yahoo leagues. He's like 4th or 5th round value. Go get him. Like automatic pickup.
Yeah, he looks like a guy that literally is just never going to be what people thought he might be, which is not good.
If you went Strother over Brown and you can still make that switch, do it.
Oh, yeah. And, it's not like Strother's been bad. I think Watson's taken a while to get going, and that's understandable. He didn't play in the preseason. And I also think the other two are better. I think I've flipped on the – I was higher on Watson than I was Strother because I thought the stat set would be stronger for Watson. I actually think it's the opposite now. I think Strother might have enough in the bag to be better. But both of these guys, 15 minutes for Watson, 22 for Strother, neither playing above the cut line in a lot of leagues. I think you could probably move on from both players. If you're going to hang on to one, it'd be Strother, talking for folks in deeper leagues there. On the Toronto side, Scotty Barnes, I don't know if any news has come in on him getting hit in the eye. That was something that happened late in the game. He had a big game, 21, 12, 9, 5 steals, 1 block, 1 3. So another great game for Scotty Barnes. He's doing just fine coming out the shoot. But the rest of the box was kind of interesting. I mean, Pirtle got 19 boards in this game. 16 points, 2 of 2 from the foul line. I forget his foul shooting numbers, but they're up. Feels like something is in the water in Toronto because Mogbo, 4 of 4. I mean, he was a 50% shooter in college, and I think he's gone perfect in the NBA so far. I forget the stats on Mogbo's free throws. Not really trying to go there, but for Pirtle, if he gets a jump there, oh boy, he goes from being a late round center to being kind of back into the middle rounds where he once was at one point in time. They're tanking in Toronto, pardon me. So it's going to be iffy for a lot of these guys. In fact, that's part of the appeal for Mogbo for me is I think he's sort of the perfect tank weapon. But Pirtle, he's running just fine. RJ Barrett got back in the saddle, 20 points, 5 boards, 3 assists there. Grady Dick, 15 and 4. He got a block, everybody. 2 threes for Grady Dick. How about Grady Dick so far? Are you thinking that it hasn't been enough right now, that he hasn't done enough and he's not worth the trouble? Or do you think that the upside is there and he is worth the trouble?
No, I like Grady Dick. I think he's going to play a ton of minutes for that team. And I feel like he's a big part of what they do. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with what he's done. I mean, it's not like we invested a lot into him. No.
And he's some of his drives to the hoop have been pretty damn good. So he's already at a point where, yes, he can shoot, but he's got the everybody charging and closing out on him so hard. He's got the moves to finish. And so 15 and 4, the production's been a little bit light, but I do think, like you, he's just going to be a big part of what they do. So just kind of ride the waves there. And
also,
then
the Davion Mitchell it's a mirage, 16 and 6.
Yeah.
He will fall back to earth in the next one, I promise.
But I was laughing because it's like Davion Mitchell, Scotty Barnes, even Pirtle out there, and you throw Mogbo in the mix. You got all these extraordinary defenders, and they can't shoot, so it's a fun little configuration out there. Mogbo, 6 points, 3 boards, 1 assist. He had a block; they didn't give it to him. It was a weird looking block, but that's fine. I think with Mogbo, this is a stash. It's a luxury stash, guys. If you want to go down the Mogbo rabbit hole in the Toronto media, just go search his name on Twitter and you can get all the film. There's a film of him covering Anthony Edwards that is spectacular. His defensive prowess is off the charts. He pops on the screen. The film is amazing. Will he get there in the next month? I don't know. He's a great luxury stash because, again, I think they do want to develop him. Rajakovic loves him. He gave him big minutes in this game. This was a game that Toronto wanted their better players on the floor because I think this would have been a big win for them. They're not in the full-on tank right now. A win against Denver to make them 0-3, I think, would have made that team extraordinarily happy. So this was the rotation for a win-now game. As we get away from win-now territory, Mogbo, I think 20+ minutes, and then down the stretch, or if there's an injury that happens and this guy gets 25 minutes, you're going to start seeing those steals and blocks get to a pretty absurd level. So that's why he's a luxury stash for me. Chicago and Memphis, as I accidentally leave to go to ESPN Bet. Another Zach LaVine game, 30 points, 1 steal, 5 threes. What are you doing with that? Did you get any Zach LaVine?
I'm not doing anything with it because I don't have any. But Rick was all over that. He was like, "Oh, give me LaVine. I want all the LaVine I can get this year." And it was a good call. He's playing great.
He's bouncy, and I'm wondering if there's so much anti-Zach LaVine sentiment with regard to the injury that maybe you could even get in on this in a reverse buy low kind of a deal. And yeah, there's risk, but maybe you can get in on a top 50 season at a top 75 or 80 price. And if you play that game right, maybe you can actually get more on the margins there. Kobe White, 20 points, 5 assists. Slow game in the previous one. I thought it was a great buy low moment. I got zero worries about Kobe White. I'm sure you're probably in the same box there, Steve. Giddey, 12, 13, and 8 with a bunch of goodies. That's good for Giddey. I don't know what else strikes me in this box score.
I think Jalen Smith is just a guy you keep an eye on.
He's playing well, but he's only getting 12 minutes. 16 and 7 with a steal and 3 threes. The 5 of 9 from the foul line sort of takes a little bit of the shine off this line, but he's shooting the ball well, and he just needs one break to kind of bust out. On the Memphis side,
well, why would Chicago want to play Jalen Smith when they have Pat Williams faltering for the 4th year in a row and needing 2 of 10 shots for 5 points? Why?
Yeah.
Why would you play Jalen Smith?
We should have some Bulls fans on the show and just let them complain for an hour. I think that's basically what's going on there. Jaren Jackson, 19 and 6 with a steal and 3 blocks and a 3. He did it in 24 minutes. It feels like they're ramping him up pretty slow there. but good to see the pop out of that. Aldama 11 and 13 with 7 assists. Point Aldama. Yeah, we got Doc dancing over there. 1 block, 1 3. This continues for the foreseeable future, right?
I mean, I didn't think it would, but yeah, I mean, it looks like it. Santi Aldama and Scottie Pippen Jr. are two of the harder things for me to wrap my head around right now.
Yeah, it's also, as mentioned, the Pippen Jr. So Ja doesn't play in this game, and you start to see these other players have good stat lines. I don't know if there's a connective point there, but Scottie Pippen Jr., 14 points, 4 rebounds, 10 assists, a steal, a block, 2 threes. I'm so mad. I did a fab bid kind of light because I had 2 other bids that I knew I was going to hit. And I was like, if I spend all this money in week 1, do I really need Scottie Pippen Jr. as my 7th guard on a team? In a team that, you can only play 6 at most. And I was like, I'll just bid lightly here. And I missed by like $3. And I think Scottie Pippen Jr. is going to do well all season long. I think he's going to play above the cut line all season long. And I think he's got upside in the event guys start getting hurt in a place named Memphis, where all they do is get little red crosses next to their name. The Aldama thing, pardon me, I think it's got to end at this level at some point, but we've been waiting for this for a couple years now. Maybe he's actually stepping into it. Zach Edey, 6 and 5, no steals, no blocks. Are you all the way off the Edey train?
Nah, I've got too much Zach Edey on my teams to be all the way off, but it's been a rough experience so far.
What's your threshold there? How long do you give a guy like Zach Edey? I mean, this is the worst of the worst, right? He's getting his welcome to the NBA moment. Terrible time to measure, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're 1 week in. If we're still in the same boat, a week from today, next Monday, then I'm going to start. I'm not going to do anything drastic in week 1. But after 2 to 3 weeks, I think we have a better idea what's going on. So
I wonder if you like this line or don't like this line. Marcus Smart.
0 for 11.
Yeah, but 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, what do you do with that?
Gross.
Sorry to our intrepid producer, Andre Limosh. Hacking into the mic without hitting the dump button there. Bane, 30 points, big line. So, you kind of expect that. Jay Huff's been getting fantasy love lately. It's 10 points, 2 blocks, 2 threes. Any love for Jay Huff?
I mean, I'm intrigued.
He's reached that level. The doc is intrigued.
I'll keep an eye on him. They're all bench.
I'd like to shout out Jake LaRavia, and I'm probably getting the pronunciation wrong. But the 17, 9, and 5, anytime that dude gets the opportunity, he just seems to put up numbers. Him and Konkar. Give me the update on that one, Andre. Let's move it along. We got Houston and San Antonio, and then 2 more after that. We'll get into tonight's action. Houston is sort of a little bit of revenge action there. And these 2 teams already don't like each other. Houston really wanted that win. They got that win, 106 to 101. Jalen Green, 36 points. Pretty light stat line elsewhere. I mean, he had the 7 threes. He had the 7 of 7 free throws. So he had a 3-category line, but a big 3-category line. 38 minutes. Şengün, 26 minutes, 5 fouls. Yeah, he's playing against Wemby, is what it is. 12 points, 12 boards, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 3 for Şengün. So actually not that bad of a line for 26 minutes. But do you think there's anything going on in Houston where they might be having any level of remorse about really solidifying their team around Şengün and then giving Jalen Green a deal that's not quite the deal he would want? It's a tradable deal. That, like, if you were reading the tea leaves after the extensions were given, it's like this is Şengün's team and Jalen Green is heading elsewhere. Do you think that there is any potential for a shift in this Houston Rockets squad where they go, hey, Jalen Green might be the guy. We should kind of focus on him and not Şengün?
Possible. I'm not worried about Şengün. Jalen Green's stat line was completely empty. except for the threes and points. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I'm more concerned about where in the hell are the Thompson twins? Again, just like last year.
Yeah. It's 19 minutes for Amen Thompson, 7 points, 3 boards, and he gets a triple one. 2 of 2 from the foul line. So he kind of saves it a little bit. And I'm going to quickly just look up his value real quick. But like the fact that he's getting just the, the 20-ish minutes per game, 21.1 minutes per game, and his turnovers and his field goal percentage and his free throw percentage is mostly the field goal percentage, and the turnovers are really crushing him right now. Getting a lot of drop questions for Amen Thompson. I had a huge rank for Amen Thompson. I knew the beginning of the year was going to be the worst part. I'm holding, and I'm probably buying into Amen Thompson as much as I can. This Houston squad, it could go well if they win early. Maybe the Amen Thompson getting 20 minutes and being cut worthy becomes a longer term thing that happens for a month or two, based on his current production, cut worthy. That's the scenario where I see Amen Thompson not hitting my rank for him and taking until like March or April to be a 25 plus minute guy. Now, if they start losing or it becomes super apparent that defensively they need to make a change, something happens like that, then I think it all happens faster for Amen Thompson. But this is not the start that you want. And if you're asking about Asar, just waiting for clearance from the league, and the comps for guys that have done this in the past, the players who've had blood clots just aren't great.
Yeah.
So it's bad news, and I probably should have been more aggressive bumping him down draft boards, because it's kind of sad. I think even if he does get back, his career is going to be sort of on pins and needles. So really tough break there. Sad for a really good player. I'm not noticing anything else on the Houston side other than Steven Adams.
Amen Thompson and Reed Shepard. People are drafting those guys in leagues. If you're in a 12-team league and you've got Amen Thompson, it depends on how patient you are and how long you can wait.
Yeah.
There's enough good stuff happening on waiver wires right now that I think you might be able to look at. But I get it, Bruce. You're holding him. I'm probably dropping him.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Doc's ruthless, and I'm more of a waiter. And we'll see how that goes. But then, Reed Shepard, I don't think it's in the cards for him this season. Maybe at any point in time. We'll see. In the Spurs side, Wemby, 14 and 20 rebounds with 5 assists, 4 blocks, 1 3. Kind of our first Wemby-ish line of the year. That's going to be maybe a small line by the time this is all said and done. Sohan, 22 points, 9 boards, 4 assists, 1 block, no threes, 4 or 5 from the foul line, no steals. People are getting hyped up on Sohan, and I just keep seeing those empty steals, blocks, and threes. And so if he can do 22, 9, and 4 all season and somehow become an 80% foul shooter, I'll tip my hat to Sohan and say good day, sir, and for everybody that rode the ride.
Would you rather have Sohan or Chris Paul?
Chris Paul, 16 and 6, 3 assists, 1 steal, 3 threes, 3 of 3 from the foul line. That Chris Paul, I think he's just going to hover in that range.
It was 16, 1 and 3.
Not great for Chris Paul. Not sure where that stacks up in the ranks so far, but just not. It's going to take a bit if he can get into some sort of a rhythm. It's hard playing with a guy like Wemby. And here's what's happening in those games that I'm noticing is there's 3 guys on Wemby. So they have to work so hard to get the ball into him. Then they got to swing. And it's just mucking everything up. And so maybe they find ways to get him the ball faster, and maybe teams chill out a little bit on the triple teaming. It just depends on how much they're getting beat, because of the triple teaming. But elsewhere in Chicago or in San Antonio land, Champagny 5 and 5 with the 1-1. Obviously not extraordinary, but I'll take the 1-1 on some off nights. In this Houston matchup, which was a back-to-back Houston matchup, is not good for Champagny. There's a lot of players on the other side that match up well with him, so I'm not really worried about that at all. I'm pretty happy with his performance to date this season. Stephen Castle, 4 points, 5 assists. I think it's going to be real rough for him early on as they he's like fourth priority to figure out there in San Antonio after the aforementioned. Utah and Dallas, really gruesome injury for Taylor Hendricks ending his season. Total bummer there. I don't even know if there's really a beneficiary that I'm super excited about, like Bryce Sensabaugh, 13 minutes, practically nothing in the stat line, so nothing apparent right off the bat. John Collins, 19 minutes, 16 and 6, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 threes. He's on a ton of my teams, and I think he's just going to be productive, whether it's 19 minutes and it's all condensed or if it's 30 and it gets spread out a little bit more. I think John Collins is just good to go the rest of the way. Keontae George, 6 of 18 from the field, better than 3 of 18. So he's getting the ship righted that way. Colin Sexton, 23 points to kind of get people away from the drop questions. I think he's going to be a consistent player going forward. Walker Kessler, 2 steals, 2 blocks to go with the double-double. Lauri Markkanen doing his thing. What you got, Doc? Anything on Utah that's standing out to you?
I mean, I think this opens the door for John Collins to have a good year.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about John Collins. Now, when you say good year, you're talking like mid-round value.
Yeah, just like salvageable, like serviceable fantasy guy.
Yeah.
And the Keontae George inefficiency experience comes as advertised. That's rough.
You know, also comes as advertised, Joel Embiid and Paul George to remain out on Wednesday as advertised. Here on this show by the great Dr. A. These guys will never play. Or ain't playing Wednesday. And that's fine by me, because if I've got Joel Embiid in a few spots, it was total that decision is worth its own show for people that and this happened all over my high stakes leagues. People weren't passing Joel Embiid. They just knew that in order to win the league, you had to take a chance at Joel Embiid, where he was getting selected in the second and the third round sometimes. Interesting stuff. Well, let's not get caught up on that. Let's get to the Dallas side of the ledger here, where Klay Thompson had another 4 3-pointers, 18 points. Klay was in the top 15. I don't know if he's still in the top 15 after last night's effort, but he's doing pretty good. Luka, 15 points, 5 of 22 shooting. Not sure what's up there, but 15, 9, and 8, 2 steals, 1 block is just fine. Kyrie's kind of getting right here. I think Kyrie was completely underdrafted this season, 23, 6, and 9 with all sorts of goodies. Gafford doing his thing with 3 blocks. PJ Washington got on the board with a really, really big line, 12 and 11 with 4 steals and 2 blocks. I mean, all I can say about this team is I like them. You got anything else there?
Luka was bad last night. I had him. I needed a double-double, and that did not work out.
You missed.
Costly.
You missed in a couple areas there. The last game of the night was Lakers at Phoenix. Anthony Davis is still on one. Rui Hachimura, 20 and 10 with all sorts of stuff going on in the stat line. LeBron a little down. D'Angelo Russell a little down. Austin Reeves is going bonkers. Love that. Connect 11 minutes. So Connect watch is probably for late in the season, I would think, but still like what I see on film for him. But what do you think about Hachimura? Like, has he shown you enough early on to be like, this is a must roster? Almost, I mean, by the numbers, I feel like it's almost must start, but I don't want to get ahead of myself.
I mean, LeBron and AD have been healthy. So when they start missing games, he gets an even bigger bump. Yeah, I mean, Hachimura is a must-own.
Yeah, that's crazy because it's been sitting there for him for years, and for whatever reasons, he hasn't been able to get up over the hump. On the Phoenix side, big games out of Durant and Booker. Brad Beal's been kind of just low-key cruising. Ryan Dunn got at a 1-1 in his 15 minutes. He almost started Grayson Allen kind of getting back into the mix for 12 minutes there after having the birth of his kid and the Achilles issue. A little bit of a slow start there. If he's still going slow in a week, then we can have a conversation. But otherwise, I'm all hyped up about Grayson Allen. Just a little bit of a bummer with the slow start. And that's going to do it for last night's games. Let's look ahead to tonight's games. We have 4 of them on the docket. We get the back-to-back out of Sacramento and Utah. What's one thing you're going to be keeping an eye on in each of these games? What are you watching for in Sac and Utah tonight?
Well, Utah, I want to see what Collins does with Taylor Hendricks gone, which is very sad.
Yeah.
Sacramento, I think Keegan Murray is the guy that's caught in the blender here. DeMar DeRozan, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, they're all going to do their thing every night. Some nights, Keegan Murray's going to go off, and other nights he's not. And trying to figure out where those are coming is going to be important to my DFS success this year.
I'm watching to see if Sac has a letdown because they got the win, and I think they think they're a pretty good basketball team. And they are. A team that doesn't have their act together loses this game in Utah. A team that has their act together goes into Utah and wins by 20 going away. So that'll be interesting to see. And they do have some interesting matchups that can slow some of the stuff that Sacramento does with Sabonis. I mean, Kessler is not exactly going to be pushed off by Sabonis and all those bully charges. So we'll see how that goes. Also on Keanu Ellis watch as usual. New Orleans and Golden State. Been an interesting start for both teams. I mean, New Orleans had a little bit of success, 2-1, sort of survived an early absence by Zion. Brandon Ingram stuff hasn't exploded. I mean, DeJounte Murray got injured, and they're 2-1. Heading into Golden State on national TV. Golden State without Steph, without DeAnthony Melton. What are you watching out for in that game?
Well, Rick and I, live on Ethos After Dark, whenever that was.
I love that name.
We were all about the Jordan Hawkins pickup for New Orleans. He's been pretty good. He's been serviceable. And we were right. It was him and not Alvarado that you wanted. Who's running the point for the Warriors tonight? No Melton, no Curry, right? So is it Brandon Podziemski night? It could be.
Yeah, if Podziemski doesn't get off in this game, this is going to be, I think, you'll see a lot of people asking drop questions about Brandon Podziemski. I just keep it quick here. I think that the ask of him to become a volume 3-point shooter has sort of messed with his circuitry a little bit. On the New Orleans side, I want to see if Zion gets any better. You know, was it AI imagery with the weight? Or was it just the same old, same old? We joke, we kid. Denver and Brooklyn, aside from Cam Thomas, aside from Dennis Schroeder, to see if Dennis Schroeder can keep kind of producing at this level. I wanted to be higher on Dennis Schroeder than I ultimately was because the back end of the season concerns. But what with this game? I mean, Denver 1-2. They just got an overtime win. It feels like the front office stuff is really percolating over there in Denver, and that the team is not happy right now. Is there anything amidst that backdrop heading into a bad Brooklyn team? You know, a game with a bad Brooklyn team. Is there anything that you're watching for Denver or Brooklyn that's, you know, fantasy relevant?
I want to see Christian Brown keep doing his thing, and like you, I've got Dennis Schroeder and Cam Thomas both in a DFS lineup tonight, so hoping they go off.
Yeah, I kind of want to get one more great game out of Christian Brown to sort of just solidify my new belief that he's a mid-round player. That's probably it on the Denver side. And the Brooklyn side, not much cooking over there. A lot of fringy stuff. You know, like Dorian Finney-Smith. Can you be productive, Dorian Finney-Smith? Just curious. Dallas at Minnesota. Dallas now on the back-to-back. Minnesota 2-1, but still probably not feeling great, I would say, in Minnesota. I want to see Anthony Edwards. I want to see, is Anthony Edwards that guy? Is he middle of the first round? And I had him ranked number 5 in the B150 and 8 cat, number 6 and 9 cat. Do you think he can be that guy for that kind of a finish?
I think so. He's going to have to pick it up. He's going to have to do better than he's been doing. Mike Conley has not been great. Mike Conley has not looked like the Mike Conley we saw last year. Dante DiVincenzo has not been the Dante DiVincenzo we saw last year. Naz Reid's been pretty good, but Edwards, I think he needs to be more selfish.
Yeah, I agree. And they need to run better sets for him. I'm seeing a lot of 4 feet in the paint situations from the defense when he's got the ball. And I just think you got to be a little bit more creative. And maybe that's on Anthony and maybe that's on Chris Finch, but like get him coming off some screens, some curls, like get some action going for him. Don't make him have to beat everybody just off the dribble on his own every single time. He can, and it's fine. And maybe that's how they want to play. But I think if you make it a little bit easier for him, maybe he can start to go off even more. Okay, let's get to some questions here on Discord. If you're not in Discord, hit the link in the notes. Get signed up for our free Discord. And then, of course, our premium members get preferential treatment for the questions. Let's get some questions here going. Harden 13. Hey, Doc and Brew. Ended up with plenty of Doc's guys on my 8-cat roto team. Wondering who he prefers in a couple player battles after a week of hoops. Pods versus Monk. Let's start there. Pods versus Monk. Who do you like better, Doc?
It's pretty tough. I still feel like Pajemski's going to be the guy in the end with the better overall numbers, but so far I think it's been Monk. So that one's close. Giddey versus Sexton. I'm sticking with Josh Giddey. And then Reeves versus Kobe White. Man, they've both been good. Reeves, if you're looking for safe and efficient. Kobe, if you're looking to hit a home run.
Wow. All right. And another question, can Bobby Portis be top 100 this year, even when Middleton gets healthy? Harden, again, he snuck 2 questions in here. Good job, Harden. He has the option to swap him out for PJ Washington, Bobby Portis. So who would you like better, Bobby Portis or PJ Washington?
I like Bobby Portis, especially the way Giannis is going right now. And the fact he's been questionable every single game. I'm going with Bobby Portis.
Bobby Portis, I want to say, had a top 50 season last year or the year before. We played 82 games. So it's possible he has upside, that Bobby Portis. Another question comes from Brandon Barassa. Who wins this trade? Fox and Herb and Şengün? Oh, we got a big one here. We got 7 players in this trade. So put your thinking cap on, Doc. Fox, Herb, and Şengün. No matter how much I train myself, I can't get that right. Fox, Herbert, and Şengün, or Ja Morant, quickly. Oh, it's the 6-player trade. I'm sorry. Jared Allen. I can read. Phonics is working for me. What you got? Fox, Herb, and Şengün, or Morant, quickly, and Jared Allen?
I think I'm going to go with Fox, Herb, and Şengün. Pretty close. Pretty fair trade.
Pretty fair trade. Very close. Best player in the trade's Fox. Usually that's the tiebreaker for that kind of a thing. Looks like we're going to go rapid fire on some questions here. Will we ever see Cameron Johnson in a true resurgence, or is this who Cam Johnson is?
Is he talking about Clam Johnson?
Cam Johnson.
I don't think Cam Johnson is ever going to blow up, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with that, because you'd think he would just get better. You know, his early career stuff was pretty good. And maybe he peaked. But I almost wonder if the league got better around him. And it's not necessarily about him. It's just everybody else is better. Another question is Jonas Valanciunas cooked?
Yes.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. I think we have one more question that we can get to from the live chat and Discord. Drafted Cade in the 3rd round with aggression. Am I a genius, or is this just a lucky start?
I'm not really a Cade guy, so I like the fact that you had a feeling and went for it. So far, he's been awesome. I think he's probably gonna have a big year.
Yeah, I wanted to rank him higher, and I love exactly what you guys are describing here. I love when a player's got some buzz, and people are kind of going to draft him early anyway, but you believe in a thing, so you go and you reach a little bit, maybe even too far, and then it hits because of the belief you had in the player. That's a great feeling right there. I think we have more questions that were being permitted to answer here by the man with the iron fist behind the curtain, Andre Lemush. We got Nah or Chris Dunn. Nikhil Alexander Walker or Chris Dunn, head-to-head 9-category league. What you got, Doc?
Chris Dunn.
Chris Dunn. I got Chris Dunn myself. I think it's going to be tough for Nah. What else? We got any more? Andre, going to let us answer any more?
Nurk alert.
And a Nurk alert. What's that mean?
Do you not see the message on your screen?
Oh, Nurk. It is a Nurk alert. Nurk. No, I hadn't seen that, but I do now. John asked, Nurk, worry meter? Question mark? Where's your worry meter?
I don't have any Nurk, so I haven't had to worry about him like he's one of my children when I go to bed at night. I haven't paid much attention, honestly. How's he doing? Talk to me, Brew.
You know what? He's not doing well, but I don't know. I think I thought the early season stuff on him was promising, that he had lost some weight and that would make him more serviceable on the floor. Oh, we're getting another question. John says, is Portis a drop? Is DiVincenzo good for point leagues? I think we just kind of addressed the Portis one because he's good enough to be discussed as a possible top 50 season guy. Like if he plays 82 games, that is, which he did. I don't think that's likely. He doesn't strike me as like a spring chicken that's, definitely going to stay upright, but I don't think he's a drop yet. And maybe in a very shallow 10 team, in a points league, maybe, but he's kind of good in points leagues.
And DiVincenzo, I mean, if you watched him play last year, I don't think you can give up on him this year unless it just goes on for weeks.
He's one of the better players in the league, DiVincenzo. That usually works itself out. Oh, we're getting some trash talk in the production room right now. Jaden Ivey or Vassell? You get a one-word answer here from Jay Marr. Jaden Ivey or Vassell rest of season?
Jaden Ivey.
I got Jaden Ivey myself, and I ain't selling that. I'm going to hang on to Jaden Ivey. Any other questions before we take? Oh, my God, they keep rolling in. Is Reese Shea, JJ Styles asks, is Reese Shea worth dropping for Klingon? Reese Shea will be behind Hunter and Bogdan. Maybe he will get better as the season progresses, question mark. This is talking about Reese Shea, of course. And yeah, so what do we think here?
I'm fine with doing that once Bogdan and DeAndre Hunter are both healthy and eating up all those minutes. But right now, I'm not dropping Reese Shea until everybody's healthy again. And even then, Bogdanovich is old. He's got an injury history. And DeAndre Hunter's not very good. So I still have faith in Reese Shea. I like Reese Shea more than I like Klingon this year.
I see where you're going, man. I see where you're going with this. Is like, can you get ahead of it? And look, if you need a center, yeah, I could do that. There's no risk, I think, in dropping Reese Shea. I think that he's going to be a late round guy at best this season. Jason John says, hey guys, drop Trey Mann for PJ Washington or Alex Caruso in 12-team 9-cat. Did you drop Trey Mann for either of those guys?
Caruso's been disappointing, and PJ Washington is PJ Washington. I'm probably rolling with Trey Mann for now.
Look at you.
I do like Caruso, though. I have tons of Caruso. Yeah, drop Trey Mann and get Caruso. Caruso's going to not be – he's going to have a bigger role.
We're going to twist this guy around. I got PJ Washington. I think that he's just going to cruise at a 125 level. Okay, more questions. Do I drop Finney Smith, Karras, or Lou Dort? It says XAV. Do I drop Finney Smith, Karis LeVert, or Lou Dort for Kuminga or Peyton Pritchard?
Tough night for Karis LeVert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big DFS guy. Dorian Finney-Smith. I think I'd probably drop Dorian Finney-Smith and Karis LeVert and pick up Kuminga and Pritchard.
Yeah, and if I had to rank them, I might even go Pritchard over Kuminga, which is kind of crazy, right? But I think Kuminga might be in for a rough year. Is Moses Moody worth a stream today?
That's a great call. Because like 5 minutes ago, I was like, who's going to possibly play point guard for those Golden State Warriors, and that's probably the answer.
Moody's going to lift up a bunch of shots today, that's for sure. All right, that's going to do it. That's it. That's all the questions we got. It's been a big fat show today, running on almost 90 minutes here. We want to thank you to the great Andre Lemush for the most excellent production, and thank you, Steve, for doing your great Lee Corso imitation. Is that what we're running with now? Is you're the Lee Corso of basketball?
Yeah, I guess.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Lee Corso, by the way, Lee Corso Day in Bloomington was cool. And I was talking about that on the show last week. And that was also one of the 16 unanswered text messages I sent you.
Yeah, everybody. Answer those text messages so your mentor won't hate you. That's going to do it for us today on Fantasy NBA Today, presented by Bet Online. Thank you all for listening. Get into that Discord. Absolutely. That's where we're going to be having most of our fun and funneling the action as the social media algorithms get unwieldy, as they tend to do. And that will do it for us. Fantasy NBA Today, Bet Online. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, be well.